Hello and welcome to Sweet Maria's Coffee. We're going to look at roasting in a popcorn popper today. We're trying to improve the quality of our videos a little. We've got a cameraman, Byron, getting pretty fancy here. So this is, if you saw the first installment, this is the West Bend Poppery 2 that I found at the thrift store for $3.50. And this is the kind of design you want. Flat bottom there with the vents around the side. You can use the other type, but they're a little more of a fire hazard, so I recommend this one. The first thing you want to do is get your stuff together here. You want to have a timer, very handy. Your coffee measured out. We're roasting a Costa Rica from the farm of Macho Arce. It's good to have a colander, which you're going to use for cooling your coffee, but also for collecting your chaff. And that's all you need. So basically a few tips before you start that you might want to think about. This is a pretty fast process. 5 minutes to 7 minutes is kind of average. So you're going to need to really be there the whole process. You need to have a good view down into the coffee. Put a little light here. It's great to have a nice strong light looking down because you can't really judge these roast colors without good lighting. And this is great. This is a intact virgin popper. This can be what happens after you use a popper too much. You melt the top. You're going to destroy this thing eventually, but my mom has used a type called the popcorn pumper for 8 years now, and it's worked great. So they get ugly, but they last forever. And it's cheap. So the other thing you want to think about, it's a little bit messy. So you're going to collect your chaff here in your colander, which kind of works. One thing that's really nice is you take a paper towel or a cloth and you wet it and just put it here because it tends to stick to that. You can also kind of put it next to a sink and wet the sink, put an inch of water or so in the sink. That works really well. Basically, you want to load up your popper. It's good to start. A good safe place to start is something just shy of half a cup of green coffee. And when you load up your popper, you can, I prefer to do it, you can put a little bit in your popper and turn it on. Just take a look at that. And what you see is, I'm not going to do the roast right now, but you can see is that it spins very rapidly. That means it's a little underloaded. So if I keep adding coffee to the point where right now it's spinning very slowly, that's initial spinning slowly, then that's about the maximum load this thing can take. You don't want to fill this thing with coffee. It'll roast eventually, but it's going to scorch the coffee on the bottom and under roast the coffee on the top. So that's what you need to start roasting, so we're ready to go. Let's do it. Woo! Okay, so our roast is done. We've got some second crack actually, so we're into a little bit of a dark roast. I put it out in my colander. That looks really nice and even. That's why we like poppers for a cheap way to start roasting. Really good roast. And to cool it off, we can shake it around, get some air moving through it. You could also use a kind of conduction. You can conduct heat away from it by putting it on a cookie sheet. Since this is room temperature, you can put it into a mason jar. I like these wide mouth mason jars, and the less head space it has in there is great. And the neat thing is that if you just seal this lightly, because you're going to get a bunch of CO2 that will degas from this coffee after it's roasted. And don't tighten it down all the way because this is going to bulge out and it might give you a real shock when you open it. But in the morning, this coffee is ready to drink. It needs that overnight resting period is great. And when you open this jar in the morning, if you seal it tight, open it up, the smell is going to be amazing. So that's probably the least expensive way to start home roasting with absolute minimal investment and actually get some really good results. So we recommend Popcorn Poppers. Thanks.